Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I just had to completely run all around my house and close all of the windows because neighbors on two sides decided now is a good time to start mowing their grass.
Oh, both at the same time. You just get hit both ways.
Yep, the one across the street and the one directly next door. And I'm like, seriously? So I'm going to be a hot, sweaty mess by the time we're done. All right, I see Bill is in the waiting room. Let me let him in and we'll get started. Hello.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, good folks. How are you today?
Oh, you've got a good radio voice.
Oh, thank you.
Have you not been to the caverns? His voice is everywhere. Or when you call in on the phones and the different messages, that's Bill. He does have a good voice.
Wow. No, and I am ashamed to say I have not ever been to the caverns.
Oh, come on down.
Mostly because when I was growing up, my mother was or is a severe claustrophobic. So that was just never on the list of places we would go or things we would do anyway. So, and then as I got older, it was just, I've just never gotten that far. I've driven by it dozens and dozens of times.
Stop in anytime. We'd love to have you here.
So, Gina, do you want to explain to Bill how the show works? Or do you, I got the notes that you sent over for just kind of an overview of the caverns.
Sure.
Sure. The way she'll do it is it's 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes, then 8 minutes, roughly, right around there. So we'll record for the first 10 minutes and she'll do the introduction and then ask questions, you'll answer, and then we'll take a little quick break and then we'll come back on and do the next 8. And based off of what you talk in the first one, we'll kind of segue you into the next 8 to see if there's anything else we didn't cover or we want to bring up, or if you're running out of things to talk about, then we can always add in more stuff of the chamber side of things. Or at the very end, then I'll mention a couple of events that we have coming up in the future for next week. So
perfect.
Now, Bill, are there things that you specifically want to make sure that we cover? Obviously that you're open and what your safety protocols are that you're taking. Is there anything else that you want to absolutely make sure that I ask you about?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Good.
Well, let's knock out the first 10 minutes and then we'll reevaluate and see where we are.
Perfect.
Hello and welcome to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Tourism Tuesday as you are listening to the show today. However, we have pre-recorded it on a beautiful Friday morning. I am excited to be sharing a Zoom screen for our Luray Page County edition of Tourism Tuesday today. Gina Hilliard is on the computer screen with me today. Gina, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's like you said, a beautiful Friday. And ready for 5 o'clock to hit for my weekend to begin.
I know, right? I won't make you feel bad by telling you that as soon as we're done recording this, my Friday, my weekend starts. So,
oh, that's not fair.
I know, right? This is the last little bit of work I have to do until I am live on the air Monday. So, I'll try not to rush through it and to give you all of the same and proper attention that I would any other guest.
Appreciate that.
Well, I'm excited about who is sharing the Zoom screen with us today because I have not had anyone from Luray Caverns on the show since I took over 4 years ago. So this is going to be a brand new conversation with me. I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Bill Huffman is joining us. He is with Luray Caverns. He is with their marketing and PR department. So, Bill, first, let's start off. First, thank you for giving me some time this morning. I appreciate it. But let's start with a little bit of history of Luray Caverns. If someone has been living under a rock, ha ha ha, pun intended, and have no idea what Luray Caverns is, give me some history of the caverns.
Absolutely. Luray Caverns is a premier attraction in the state of Virginia. We were discovered on August 13th, 1878 by three local men. They were actually looking for a caverns. They were prospecting to find a cave. People thought, the townspeople thought they were insane, but they spent their summer looking around every hill, every little crevice. They finally found some cool air coming out of about a quarter-size hole in the ground. They're like, well, this is unusual on a hot August day. So they dug. Took them about a day to dig a hole big enough for the first man to slide down with a rope and a candle. And they actually found what they were looking for, one of the largest, most beautiful caverns in the world. And we have it right here in Virginia.
I had no idea that it literally started as a hole in the ground and they crawled in having no idea what they were crawling into. Those were some brave individuals.
Much braver than me. I would not do it.
Right? I won't even crawl under my house. I mean, I cannot even imagine, especially in the 1800s, because Lord only knows what was still alive and could have eaten them back then.
Exactly. And, you know, they erected a small structure on this site, and they gave tours that same year, starting on November 6, 1878. And until the COVID mess, we had been open every day until then.
Seriously, every single day?
Yes, every single day.
Wow. You know, you hear a lot in the national news about businesses that have had to close and even some long-standing and long-running businesses. I think there was a pub or something in D.C. that had been open for a very long time, but I don't think anything that goes back to the 1800s like that.
Yes, it's amazing. And we're glad to be back open and welcoming visitors back to the caverns.
Well, and I can imagine that would make it kind of double devastating for you guys too, because it's tough to break a streak, especially one that's been running that long.
Exactly. Now we're starting a new streak. So we've been open every day since June 5th.
So tell me about phase 2. What does that look like for you at Luray Caverns?
Sure. We want our visitors to feel confident that they'll be safe when they come and visit with us. When the governor moved us into phase 2, we had been making preparations, pretty much since the time we'd been closed. So when you come here, there's contactless ticketing. So you just go, we send one person of your party right on in to purchase their tickets while the other people wait outside. And then we take you on our new entrance. We have a new outside entrance, step free, and folks immediately just go right on into the caverns with the party they came with. Hand sanitizers are everywhere throughout the property. We're wiping off all the railings in the caverns every hour, and all the high-touch services as well. Folks are kind of getting a little self-guided tour. We've kind of reimagined, what we're doing here. And folks get a little pamphlet explaining all the major stops. There are rangers and staff members throughout the caverns to answer questions, to monitor certain areas, to make sure people are social distancing while they're down there. And that's kind of how we're operating at this point.
And if I understand it correctly from things that I've read about the caverns, it stays a consistent temperature there. So even wearing a mask underground isn't nearly as uncomfortable as it would be, say, to be walking around Target for an hour.
Exactly. Yes, we are required for masks, just like the governor's executive order 63. It's not bad. It's a constant 54 degrees in the caverns. It's high humidity, so it feels a little bit warmer than that. But it's great to come on a hot summer day and cool off in the cave.
So kind of paint a picture for me. I joked with you when you first came on the screen and said that I was a little bit embarrassed and ashamed to say that I've never actually been into Luray Caverns. What is it like when you walk into the caverns? What are you seeing? Kind of walk me through.
Sure. Well, of course, you certainly feel it as soon as you get in those entrance doors. You can feel the temperature change. You can kind of feel the humidity. You're going into someplace special. Of course, it's a little darker. So as you come into the very first room, you start to see some beautiful displays of stalactites, stalagmites. hanging from the ceilings and from the floors. Beautiful columns, crystal clear pools throughout the caverns. And as you walk through the caverns, it starts to get open. You get into the main body of the caverns where the rooms start to get larger and drier. And it's just spectacular down there. It really is.
How big is it? I mean, you mentioned earlier that it started off as a tiny hole that they sent somebody down on a rope. How much space do you take up there now?
Sure. Well, the caverns cover 64 acres.
Oh.
And as you walk through, it's a figure 8 pattern, so you're never retracing your steps. So that's great for this day and age, especially what's going on now. So you don't have to backtrack or see folks coming the other way. So it's really nice. And so 64 acres, it's a huge place. You see about 47 acres in the distant views, so in the cavern. So you see about 2/3 of the caverns when you come on a tour.
That is crazy. And I know from the commercials that I see on television, the organ. Tell me about the organ.
Sure, the organ is an amazing instrument. It is the world's largest musical instrument. In 1953, a man named Leland W. Sprinkle came on a tour with his family. They used to, the tour guides used to tap the stalactites and play a little tune, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and just to show that, you could make music with them. Well, he got this idea, being on the tour, that he could actually make a gigantic organ, put it in the caverns, use the stalactites as the musical tones, and he came to the board of directors. They approved it, and he started work. It took him 3 years, over 5 miles of cabling, and a lot of searching through the caverns to find the right musical tones for the stalactites. It all depends on their size. So once he found enough concert quality notes, he wired them all up. We put the little solenoids, these little things called solenoids, on the stalactites with little metal little mallets that have rubber tips. When you push a note on the keyboard in the organ, it sends an electrical impulse to the little solenoid. It taps the stalactite gently and creates a musical tone. And all those are picked up and brought back to the cathedral. It covers about 3.5 acres, making it the largest musical instrument in the world. And it is just beautiful to hear.
Does somebody play it? Is it by person? Is it automated? How does it work when you want to hear the music?
Sure. You could play it from the console, but since there's on tours, we just press a button. It works like a music box principle. So then it'll send the signals to the appropriate notes. And that's how we do it today. And they just did a major renovation of the organ. It sounds better than it ever has. It's in such a unique, harsh environment. So it takes constant maintenance and upkeep, but we just did a beautiful redo of the organ mechanics, and it really sounds beautiful now.
Yeah, I can't imagine, COVID-19 aside, what it must be like to have to clean something that is entirely underground.
Exactly. It is a challenge, but we can do it.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, can we talk a little bit more about the caverns and everything that people can experience when they come to see you now that you're open?
Absolutely. I love that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We are on the Zoom screen pre-recording today's show on a Friday morning. You, of course, are listening to it today on Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County edition. That means that Gina Hilliard is also sharing a Zoom screen with me. We are having a conversation with Bill Huffman. He is in the marketing and PR department for Luray Caverns. We're going to come back and continue that conversation in just a couple of minutes. Done.
Awesome.
Easy peasy.
Painless.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about in the next segment? Do you want to kind of get into any more detail about the sanitizing? I assume you're also limiting the number of people that can come through because of the governor's orders.
Yes, since we're so huge, we really, since we've been open, business has not just returned like that. So it's a number of people here that are traveling. It really has had no problems for us at this point. We haven't had one of those
And that makes it, that makes it a little bit, you'll be able to ease back into it just by virtue of people easing back into their lives.
Exactly. Yeah, we can talk about that. I can talk about other things to do on the property. So we'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and I think that's the key, Bill, is whenever we promote it here, we let them know the price. And at first it's a little bit shocker, if they have a big family, but once we let them know, hey, your ticket includes not only just the cave, but you get the toy train museum, you get the car museum, and then you get the Valley Museum. It's all in the same ticket price. It kind of softens it up because they can spend a good 2+ hours, touring everything, depending on how much time they want to take to read all the information about all the amazing cars from the wagons, the carriages, all the way up to what's the most expensive one there?
Oh, the 27 Mercedes Benz, which is valued about $5 million. It is a stunner.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow.
So a fantastic collection there. And then you got the Valley Museum talking about all the history and the different artifacts in there. The kids can do the mining, right? The mining, or you can go check out the old barns, and there's a gentleman there doing the steel work or the whatever. Yeah. So like smith work, I guess. So yeah. And then you have the other 2 attractions there as well, the garden maze and the rope adventure. I think the rope adventure, though, is the only one not open right now.
Yes, they couldn't open in phase 2 because of their equipment that they use.
Right.
So hopefully when phase 3 hits, they'll be able to be back open.
And then Gina, do you have anything you want to throw in at the end?
About anything we have going on, or in relation to Luray Caverns? I have two more coffees and conversations next week. On Tuesday, we're going to be talking with a couple restaurants and how they handled the COVID situation moving forward. And then on Thursday, we're talking shop. So talking to a couple of the shops and how they handled, keeping the distance and things like that. So so those are my 2 events next. Those are my 2 ones for next week.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and knock out this next segment. Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County edition, as you are listening to the show today. However, we've pre-recorded it on a Friday afternoon using our computer screens. We are on a Zoom screen today with Gina Hilliard from the Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. Her guest is Bill Huffman from Luray Caverns. And in the first segment, Bill, we were talking about just the Luray Caverns experience, how it got started, and then all of the different safety protocols that you guys have put in place that allowed you to reopen during phase 2. But during the break, Gina was telling me about all of the other stuff. You're not just caverns at Luray Caverns.
We're not. Our general admission ticket includes 2 other attractions. Actually, 3 other attractions. We have our car and carriage caravan, which is included in the general admission ticket. It is a history of transportation, has about 140 different items, 70 different vehicles, all kind of giving the history of America through the car. Americans have a love affair with the car. So it's everything from coaches, sleighs, all the way up to the Mercedes Benz and all the fancy cars that you saw in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So it is a stunning museum. They really take care of those cars. Lots of brass, and it's so shiny when you walk in there. It's just amazing to see some of those vehicles. And think about yourself riding around Page County, and on a beautiful day like today, I think you can see every tree on the Shenandoah National Park at this point outside my window. So folks can come and take a walk around the car museum. Then across the street, we have our newly renamed complex. It was the Luray Valley Museum. Now it's the Shenandoah Heritage Village. It's a kind of a reconstructed little village of Shenandoah history. Kind of different buildings have been moved from all over the county and surrounding counties to create a little farming community there. And then the main museum, the Luray Valley Museum, kind of has the artifacts that kind of tie it to the German and the Swiss settlers that were so important for this area. And you can learn about the history of our valley.
Well, it sounds like a great opportunity for parents who have suddenly become teachers when schools let out, finding an interesting, fun, and in some cases outdoor way of sneaking some education in on their kids while they're having some fun.
Exactly. It never hurts. We have blacksmithing demonstrations on the weekend over there, and you can also buy a bag of gems and pan for gems. Do your gem mining over there, and kids really enjoy that. It's fun to see all the smiles and hear all the laughs coming from over there for sure.
And all of that is fully open and operational now in phase two.
It is. And we also have an extra fee attraction called our garden maze, which is a 1 acre maze you try to find your way through. A lot of kids can do it much faster than me and burn off some energy before the car ride home. And they're open. We have another attraction, the rope adventure course, which is not currently open due to the COVID, but hopefully soon.
And you guys have really taken a lot of extra precautions. You touched on it in the first segment to make sure that everything has been clean, that it's sanitized, that nobody is coming into close contact with anybody else. They're all keeping their social distance and wearing their masks.
Exactly.
That's really important to you guys.
It's very important to us. And all of our employees have health screenings and temperature checks before they come to work every day. We are committed to having a safe work environment and a safe place for visitors to come.
You also mentioned at the top of the show that typically you have a contactless ticketing system where one person from the group can come in and get the ticket for the entire group. Can you buy tickets online? Do you have something that people can do in advance?
Sure. Our online ticketing, unfortunately, is not operational at this point. So we're only having tickets available through our main ticket counter at this point. But hopefully that will be back up soon and even a better option for folks.
Well, and Gina, I know, and I mentioned this earlier too, that I've seen the Luray Caverns commercials on television. Having Luray Caverns literally in your backyard as the chamber who is kind of tasked with tourism has got to be one of the greatest benefits ever for your job.
It is, absolutely. It makes our job tremendously easier to have such the wonderful attractions that we have in our own backyard. Luray Caverns being one of those main focal points. And then we have the Shenandoah National Park in our backyard and the beautiful mountains that surround us. And then you have the Shenandoah River, that flows through our county as well. And then all the other attractions that get to add on to all that. It makes it very easy to promote and have visitors come visit Page County and be able to enjoy such a variety of things that we have to offer.
I agree, Gina. It's a beautiful place to come and visit. We have a lot of outdoor activities. It's just a stunning place.
So, Bill, with the Museum on Transportation, I've got to ask, has Jay Leno ever visited your place? Because I know he's a real big car guy.
He is a big car guy, and we get a lot of car fans that come see us. I don't think Jay's been one of them, but we see a famous person or two around here sometimes also.
We'll have to send him a recording of this show and see if that won't entice him a bit to come to Page County.
Perfect. That'd be awesome.
You can tweet him for us, Janet.
Yes. I'll see what I can do.
Great.
So, Bill, if somebody wants to come and visit any one of the things on the property at Luray Caverns, what is the best way for them to kind of get themselves familiar with what the process is and all of the different things that are available to them? Where should they start for that information?
Sure. The best place right now is our website, luraycaverns.com. It has all of our safety protocols listed, kind of how the experience is working now. So that's the place to start.
And then I know you guys are on all the social media networks as well, so they should be following you on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of those places.
Absolutely. They better be. That would be great. And they can give us a call. We have a great staff here who'll answer any questions anytime, just like Gina's staff.
I think we forget sometimes about that good old-fashioned telephone. It's one of those things that I always forget to ask. Oh, you mean people can call? I use my phone for pictures and social media. Every once in a while, I'll actually talk on it.
Exactly. Yep. Use that thing. Call us anytime.
So, Gina, speaking of conversations, you've been doing a lot at the Chamber. You've been doing a really cool series called Coffee and Conversations over Zoom with different types of people in different industries kind of coming together, talking about how they're making it through and some changes they've implemented. You've got a couple of those coming up this week, right?
I do. Our Chamber Coffee and Conversations have went very well. I've had on different speakers. Yesterday, I had all three town managers from each town come on and talk about how each town handled it and how we're all working together as one. Even though they're individual towns, we all support one another and come together. I've had on the Sugar National Park with their updates. I have coming up next week on Tuesday, we have the restaurants. So I have a couple different restaurants coming on and going to be talking about how they handled COVID and how they basically went from serving guests inside their restaurant to basically doing delivery, curbside pickup, and just coming up with all kinds of things that maybe they never offered before, but had to, adjust to be able to make ends meet. And now moving into phase 2, how, they're slowly starting to open up and doing their outdoor dining and their indoor dining, and just how they're, managing and maybe even some of the things that they had to adjust, they might even keep because it's worked so well, and which might be, the curbside pickup or whatever. So that is on the 16th of June, and they are at 10 o'clock. We feature those live on Facebook, or you can join us on a Zoom. You can send in questions to these folks. They'll be happy to answer anything. And then on Thursday, we are going to be talking with the shops. So we are going to be discussing kind of the same topics, how they were able to handle, and some of those also had to adjust. They went to online purchasing, or they went to curbside pickup, or gifting and wrapping and delivering those, or even mailing some items. So a lot of those things have worked out very well for them as well. And some of those things they'll be keeping for the future. But just supporting our local businesses and shopping local and eating local. And we just want to be able to, feature them and just talk about how important it was to support them. Since we didn't have the tourists traveling at that time, we wanted to make sure that the locals were supporting them, and they was. That the county really came together, and I know we did here at the chamber. Every day we were kind of like, all right, what are we having for lunch today? Where are we going to today? So it hasn't stopped. So, we're still constantly having that conversation. So it's definitely being supportive of our local businesses. So definitely check out those 2 events. They're both on Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock.
And you don't have to be a chamber member to participate in that conversation, nor when you're talking to these specific groups like restaurants, you don't have to be a restaurant owner to participate either. Anybody from any walk of life can take part in that conversation, right?
That is correct. I mean, it's just an informational thing. So if anybody else has a restaurant in maybe another county or another area, or, wants to get some ideas on maybe how somebody handled it or moving forward, what they're doing, it's always great just to lean on somebody else that's maybe had that experience a little bit longer, and be able to gather that information. Or if it's just somebody that wants just to know, hey, are they now opening indoors now so I can go eat? It'll be informative for them to let them know which restaurants are available that are still offering certain items.
Well, and the other part of that is if you're a customer of any of the local retail shops or a customer of any of the restaurants, and you really think they've done a good job of staying on top of things, and you're happy with the performance that they've had over the last couple of months, now is a great time to log on to this Zoom and pat them on the back and say thank you and congratulations and keep up the good work. Because I know right now that is the one thing that probably is keeping a lot of these small business owners going, is knowing their customers appreciate it. So it never hurts to just log in and say, hey, thank you. Had a great dinner last week. Looking forward to being able to come in and sit down and have dinner. That's a key part that the community can play a role in keeping these businesses' spirits up, if not their pocketbooks full.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody needs a little bit of encouragement and positive notes, with everything that's going on with everything in the world, just keeping everything positive, and everything is as good, and reviews is always good to hear. We're all so quick to point out the negativity in things. We have to keep in mind that we have to share the positive results. This is also a great way just to inform people to still be patient. I mean, these trying to be able to abide by the rules and the guidelines, and so on a daily basis, they learn something maybe didn't work. So I'll have to keep in mind we have to just be patient and understand maybe service might be a little slower, or something might be a little bit different, but we just have to be patient and look on the bright side and be able to support our businesses locally.
And where can people get more information about all of the different events and things that are going on at the Chamber? Is your website the best place to start?
So one of two, they can either go to visit luraypage.com with our website. The information is on our community calendar, or they can actually go straight to our Facebook page, and that is the Luray County Chamber Facebook page, and they will see all the great stuff we're posting about our members and keeping them up to date in regards to that. And then they can also go to our event section and see all the different events that we're hosting with the coffee and conversations. Or if they want to be able to sign up for our In the Loop email that goes out every Monday at 10 o'clock, they'll be able to not only gather our information, but they'll be able to gather the community's information as well with anything that they want to advertise or promote.
Awesome. And Bill, give me the website one more time for Luray Caverns.
Sure, it's www.luraycaverns.com.
Easy peasy. Well, we are going to wrap up today's conversation for Tourism Tuesday, Luray Page County Edition. We have been chatting over Zoom with Gina Hilliard from Luray Page Chamber of Commerce. Bill Huffman has also joined us from Luray Caverns. Thank you both for taking some time out of a beautiful Friday morning to sit inside and have a conversation with me on a computer screen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Janet. It's been a pleasure.
We will be back.
Janet, I appreciate it.
We will be back tomorrow. It is the Valley Business Today, and I am making the jump from Page County to Clark County. Felicia Hart is going to have a conversation with me for the Valley Business Today tomorrow. Again, we recorded today on a Friday. I'm recording Felicia on Tuesday that you will hear on Wednesday, which is tomorrow as you're listening to this. And I keep joking that I need better calendar management. But I'm kind of surprised at how well I'm keeping track of all of this stuff, regardless of what day it actually is. Meet me back here tomorrow, a few minutes after noon, and it doesn't matter what day it is. There will be a brand new Valley today ready to go for you. All right.
All right.
Yeah, now
Great
I just
job.
have to hope that something doesn't come up with Felicia between now and Tuesday, because then I got to edit the whole back half of this show off.
Fingers crossed.
I know, right? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. This will air Tuesday, a few minutes after noon. The podcast obviously will go up on the website shortly thereafter. And the same with the video. It'll be up on our YouTube channel shortly thereafter as well.
Great. Thanks for having
Sounds
me. I
good.
appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Enjoy.
All right, you too. All right, thanks. See you, Bill.
See you, Gina.